If that little avatar that you just saw piques your curiosity, you're going to have to stay tuned for a while because it was an experience that I had at this VKL. And action. Welcome back to Show and Tell. I'm Billie. I am just returned. It's hard to say return because it's not like I was on a train or a plane or anything, but from Midtown after several days at the famous Vogue Knitting Live, which takes place right in my backyard, Midtown Manhattan. So to kick things off, I took a course with Deborah Newton. Of course, I don't want to divulge too much of her handouts, but she did have some printed materials for us before class to review. Most of it involved schematics, taking our own measurements and comparing them to the schematics. She's a very seasoned, I would go so far as to call her a couturière. She's well known for her books and her finishing techniques. In this class, she mostly talked about getting a good fit. And as you know, if you've seen this channel before, fit is a continual problem for me because most of the things that I knit from are vintage patterns, which only come in one size. So you're kind of on your own to figure out if you don't have a 34-inch bust or 35-inch bust, how you're going to make the adjustments. So I was really hoping to get some of that out of her course, which I did, but I didn't. Most people, I guess, consider fit more about the torso. For me, I'm very concerned with sleeve cap and arm side. Anyway, she did have some interesting pointers, some things that she doesn't do that most other knitters do, which I found to be interesting. And I don't know if those are trade secrets, and I don't want to dissuade people from taking her classes in the future because she is quite a terrific teacher and very entertaining to boot. Another thing I'll say about the class is that someone attending had come all the way from Cape Town, South Africa, and she asked if it would be okay for her to hand out samples of her yarn, Cowgirl Blues. So everybody got a different little packet, and I'll show you what was in mine. All the same color, olive green. Oops, she calls these yarn candies. So there was a mohair, there's a lace weight single, and merino twist. I haven't tried to knit with any of them, can't speak to them, but her website I'll put in the show notes in case anybody's interested in checking her out. You might live closer to South Africa than I do. It might be more convenient for you. So my class happened to take place on Thursday morning. Nothing much happens until the marketplace opens Friday at 5. I led a very short tour to the garment center, to one specific place. At the end of this video, I'll insert a couple of pictures of the shop with some wonderful trim. If you're in need of ribbons or buttons, it's a great place to hit. Again, check the show notes for a link to their website. I think that I'd like to try and do that next year. So if you're interested in joining me, I was considering maybe taking a group of people on a little sightseeing adventure. I just don't know how many people arrive ahead of the event. People coming from far away probably do come in Thursday or maybe even Friday early in the day just to get acclimated to a time change. So I was thinking of maybe running a little group up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I think for people who aren't familiar with New York, it might be a little daunting, like, how do I get there? How do I get back? Is it safe? And then once I'm there, how can I optimize my visit? Because I have a limited amount of time. So for many years, I've been taking tourists to the Met, and I have about a 1-hour tour that hits the things that I consider to be highlights. And since I've been going there for over 50 years, I know the place pretty darn well. So if that's something that you think would be interesting to you, just make a comment below and I'll try and, gather names of people and we'll revisit this a year from now. So that was Friday afternoon. Once the marketplace opened, I met up with a group of other New Yorkers to have the New York subway experience that was designed by two women who knit a lot of objects found on New York City subways, the Greek coffee cups from Greasy Spoons with this familiar logo on them. You hardly see them anymore, but for a long time, they were a mainstay of New York coffee takeout before Starbucks. So that and a Metro card, which is soon to be obsolete, and reproductions in wool of some of the tiles that are found on subway platforms, different subway stations around New York. So I'll have a slideshow at the end where you can wander through some of that. After that evening's marketplace, the same group of us went out to dinner, and you'll see a picture of us later on too. What did I acquire? The first night I jumped on the marketplace because it's a lot less crowded on Friday evening. I had gone with a particular plan in mind. I had 3 sweaters that I was shopping for yarn for. One was a baby sweater for my cousin's daughter. She's also my cousin who lives in the desert. So I wanted for sure nothing with wool, something that would be cotton. And since the baby's name is Gray, I wanted a very pale, like a pearl gray. Came up empty-handed on that, looked everywhere. It's winter here in New York, so a lot of the vendors weren't featuring cotton or cotton blends, but we're leaning more towards wool and other warm fibers. The other 2 sweaters, one had a 3.5 stitch per inch gauge, the other 6.5 stitch per inch. I really wasn't finding either. So I settled on something that I thought was going to give me gauge, but when I swatched, it didn't. So I'm going to have to tinker around and probably use this yarn for the sweater that it was not intended for. But the 2 sisters from Morehouse Farm were just so lovely that I wanted to make special mention of them, Erin and Hillary. So they have these small, they call them scoops, like a scoop of ice cream. This one is 83 yards. This is their 2-strand sport weight. And here's my little swatch that let me know I wasn't getting 6.5. I mean, I didn't have to go any further than this to see that I wasn't getting 6.5 stitches to the inch. But I was hoping to use these colors, the hot pink, the Kelly, whoops, I never learned to juggle. Wait. Okay, here I am back. Hot pink, the Kelly green, and red, because I am planning to do something that's got a real Russian folk twist to it. Stay tuned for that in coming episodes. The background of the sweater is going to be black, and they did not have enough black on hand to fulfill my need. So I allowed them to ship my order to me, which, hello, it's already here. So let me grab my vintage scissors and this unopened package. And let me do this with you. It's always so scary when you know there's yarn inside. You want to try not to cut into it. I think I'm okay. Looks like they put a little note inside. We know you didn't want to have to work at this sweater, so we wound the yarn so you can just cast on. And they said, thank you very much. How sweet. I thought when I was feeling the package that it didn't feel like skeins. I thought they wound it, and sure enough, they did. Oh, and they don't even have ball bands on it. Wow. Okay. I always love having plastic bags. I find a million and one uses for them, and I refuse to buy them. So it feels very squishy, even through the plastic. It is. So I think this is going to have a lot of bounce. And let me show you this yarn again up close, because it's not twisted. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Oh yeah, you probably can. Two strand, but I don't know. Maybe it's a very loose twist. It's certainly not. Yeah, it's very, very loose twist. They raise these sheep right on their farm, and I know that they offer visits to the farm around the time of Rhinebeck. They're really close to Rhinebeck, so who knows, maybe this coming fall, I might try and make a side detour to go there. They were just so, so kind, so lovely. Some of the booths that I popped into, Aker Farm, Aker Fiber Farm. I think she might be the woman you'll see later on who was spinning. I'm not sure now. I passed by so many, many booths. This booth, Harbor Yarns, had a display of Dorset buttons like this, and she was selling kits to make them. I thought that for this colorful sweater that I was just showing you, that it might be interesting to make my own buttons, and I thought of doing these, but now it turns out I might use this yarn in a sweater that's not a cardigan. So I'm sort of glad I didn't jump in and buy the kit, but I'll leave a link to her website too. Very interesting. You'll see footage from the booth called Hello Bargello. Even though it's not knitting, there are many booths at VKL that just feature yarn and different uses for yarn. So if you're not familiar with Bargello, you're going to see some images of it. This is ikigaifiber, hampowersknits.com. They had a really colorful and cute booth. You'll see pictured. Now, Pearl Soho did not have a booth there, but they were one of the sponsors of the show. So I was able to pick up this, which I think is really helpful because it shows all of their different yarns. They had a small table with some sample yarns, and they did a yarn toss of their yarns. I recently used their linen quill, loved it. So I am a fan of Pearl Soho. I wish that they had not closed their New York City store. Oh, this woman had such a cute booth, not in the marketplace, but just outside. There are a lot of artists who have displays there, Victorian house cats to knit. And you'll see that she's wearing a little straw hat and there's cats all around. There were some lovely women from Iceland represented there who gave me a 15% code off their jewelry. And the jewelry is all knitting related, stitch holders, tension rings, necklaces with ways of measuring. Silfa, SILFA.is. It's only a QR code, so I don't know how I can convey that to you. Well, you know what? Let me put it here. Maybe you're able to capture it. I don't know. I don't know if you'll be able to capture that. Here's another picture of this pendant that they have that has measurements on it. So you can wear it around your neck, and it's always handy. One of my local yarn shops, Knitty City, featured the owner of Cascade Yarns, one of the owners, who was giving out coupons. I'm not sure if this is good only on Nitty City's website or if it's good on cascadeyarns.com as well, but you only have a couple of days. It's only good until February 4th, 10% off any Cascade Yarns. So if cascadeyarns.com doesn't work, try nittycitynyc.com. Prettiest card. This woman, you'll spot her right away. She has a large afro and she's very colorful. She's from Michigan, from Motor City, Detroit. And I just thought her card was beautiful. I also met Claudia Quintanilla, I think is how she pronounces her name, who gave me this beautiful little gift of a project bag and a QR code to a free pattern. Lovely sweater. I have all the project bags that I could possibly ever need. I'm very happy to pass this on to one of the viewers. I'll do a random drawing from the comments as soon as we reach 40 comments. So get busy commenting, only one comment per person. But as soon as there are 40 of you, I will do a drawing for this and a little sample of Eucalyptus. One of the really, really cool things that happened at this particular Vogue Knitting Live is the Shirley Payton fashion show. She did a fashion show last year. You could go back to my last year's episode and see some images from that. I thought this year's fashion show trumped the prior year. Shirley is about to come out with a few books called Duets and Inspirations. And it sounds like it was too big to put into one book. So she's doing 3 separate ones, one for lace, one for cables, one for color work. And to launch this whole extravaganza, not only did she break the fashion show into these 3 segments, she called them kingdoms, and she had the queens of each of the kingdoms parade in the fashion show. Again, QR code. I don't know how to convey this to you. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. I guess you got to go to Vogue Knitting Live. At the fashion show, on every seat was this brochure that introduced you to the 3 different kingdoms. She called them kingdoms? I don't know if she called them kingdoms. Wait a second. Well, anyway, you'll see lots of images and some footage from the fashion show. I want to give a shout out to my friend Cindy, whose camera is quite a bit better than mine. So I've interspersed some of her images with my own. But Shirley Payton had this little tent set up that you could go into and have your picture taken, which was then spun into some avatar by AI. So you'll see more of those images of me besides the one that I teased you with at the beginning. Everyone with their QR codes. Is this not the cutest business card you've ever seen? It's so dainty. The woman said to me, well, you can use it as a bookmark. So cute. I just might have to do that. I enjoyed having a chat with this gal. She was trained to be a music teacher at Teachers College, which is part of Columbia University in New York. It's a very prestigious place. But over the years, she found herself gravitating to knitting, and she has what's called Mini Skeins Club. Her company's called The Spinning Hand. I'll put a link below in the show notes. And she sells little sets of minis. And I guess there's a club where maybe you join. You can go to her website and read about it. But I just thought her card is so cute. As a reference, it's that big compared to a regular business card. Really cute. I think I'm going to let my pictures tell 1,000 words. You'll see some new friends and some old friends who I ran into during the course of these several days. It's great fun. I encourage you, if you're able to, make the trip to New York next year, and I will enjoy meeting you. I'll end my commentary here and just go right into that. And I look forward to seeing you next time around. Hope you enjoy this. Do let me know if you're planning to come next year so that we can have a whole year to plan on getting together. Don't forget to comment. See you next time. I am standing on the 7th floor balcony looking down on one of the 2 floors of the marketplace. So this is Shannon Dunbabin.
Yeah, perfect.
One of the owners of
Cascade
Yarns. Woo. Based in where? California?
Seattle area.
Seattle.
Yes. So I moved out to marry my husband, and he suggested that I work for the family business with his father, and I didn't know how to knit, and I basically worked through all the positions and eventually learned to knit. Now I'm working on crocheting better, but I do our colors.
Okay, so everybody watching, make sure you look for Cascade. I know you all know it already.
Sounds good.
This is the new ChiaoGoo Forte set, Forte 2.0. It comes in this beautiful case. You have all the basic tools, needle size gauge, tape measure. I guess stitch markers are in here. There's a pen in case you need to take notes. This is African blackwood. And what's on the other side?
This is African blackwood. This
That's
is
African blackwood,
carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
Yep.
And it comes with 2 different types of cables. The silver ones swivel, and you get the conventional red lace ones. Show us how smooth it glides for you.
So the transition here is very smooth. Unlike the other metal sets where here there's like a bit of like a tug or like a grab there, but here it kind of just perfectly slides.
You're good at that.
For sure.
So these are available at Nitty City.
Are you using the new ones? Oh, I am. Of
Oh,
course I am.
don't you love it? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Are they on your website? Do you know?
Well, we only have like 2 or 3 sets of these left.
And the price is
$330.
$330.
Yep.
Get them now while they're hot.
Yes, I had to. They were selling so quickly. I was like, I'm not gonna get a set if I don't get them now.
And experience in Shirley Payton's booth are amazing adventures that begin in the creative mind. they evolve to a higher level of consciousness through completing the tasks. Her inspiration was the Huron River in Michigan, meandering through a blanket of snow, and she transformed that. It is constructed from a high relief pattern with an interlay of lace and cable. Yarn selected, which was a fine cashmere. This was meant to reveal the softness and warmth of a woman. It features a head neck covering to give the piece versatility. The word pèlerin means pilgrim in French, and play with different sizes of the motifs brings us fresh and unexpected approach to that classic. Her use of classic coloring and a classic body silhouette gives the piece versatility.
started, because it started after one of these.
Yeah, when you left Vogue Knitting Live with them, we were standing on the subway platform on 49th Street, and we were like, that would be fun to do that as a sign. Like, we're literally with our measuring tape. And then the mosaics, we were like, oh, it's great color work ideas. And then we were like, there can math be fun to do?
Hello, Bargello. Tell me about your booth.
This is our Hello Bargello booth. We're taking an old vintage craft, not old, but a vintage craft, and modernizing it with our updated colors and patterns for modern makers. It's a really good craft for beginner knitters and also for people who want a little break from knitting, because the gratification comes very quickly with these. It's a quick stint.
And you are?
I'm Kate. I'm the production manager for Hello
Kate.
Bargello.
Thanks for talking with us today.
When it gets too long, you have to roll it onto the shaft, and then you spin this, and you let that twist go into the fluff. And that's honestly all it takes to make yarn. You add twist and fiber, and that's how you get yarn of any type.
You made it look so easy.
Remember, I've been doing this for a while. Don't forget that part.
How cute is Natalie, guys? I suppose it's a mix of things. There's a little bit of overlap with Kim in getting things to fit really well. Kim has said that we share the same brain, and when I can't think of something, she does. But I think apart from making design education more accessible to people, the other side that came out of that was inspired by students that I had on my BA course. And one of the things that I noticed about creative self-expression was the standards by which people were marked for their coursework. For example, I had one student from South India who was not particularly well graded for some assignments by the course leaders because they felt that her colours were quote unquote all wrong. meaning that they were not really seen as beautiful by a white Western audience who's already appropriated much of the fabric that has come from India. And the impact that that has when someone wants to create work that represents themselves, to express themselves on their own terms, it can be really crippling, not knowing why you haven't been marked as well for something and not getting feedback that you can build on, nothing constructive, thinking that there's something wrong with you.
Designers that are just starting. I always say, once you hit that publish button on Ravelry, you're a designer, that's it. So, I encourage you to talk to me after this and I can guide you. And if anybody out there is interested in designing, let's have that conversation. I will be working on that this year. That's one of my goals, is to create a database to talk about the things like, gauge and how do we figure that out, sizing, all that. I think it's important, and I don't want it to discourage you from wanting to become a designer.